Thank you so much for the opportunity to present today, and I greet my colleagues, the officials, and also welcome the presentation that we have been given today. Chairperson, I want to start by addressing the issue of which stems from the challenges that were outlined by the presenter. He spoke about limited peace and security troops, armed conflicts. He spoke about political crisis, governance deficits, and democracy, which were very, very critical in the SADC region. Now, when we talk about vote rigging and instability of democracy and political crisis, it's important, Chairperson, that we don't even look far. We start here in our own backyard. The South African 2024 national elections were a mess. It was a crisis that I'm not sure why my colleague went to quote other countries instead of talking about the vote rigging that happened in this election. If these elections were free and fair and reflected the will of the South Africans, we know that MK Party and many other parties would have made it to the government. I don't believe that the democracy that we enjoy in South Africa is a true democracy. We are not governing this nation by the will of the people. We are governing this nation by the will of the white monopoly capital, the cartels that are controlling the economy of this nation. We are governing this nation right now in a crisis called Government of National Unity. And I'm sure my colleagues have heard both the ANC and the DA, when they step into this platform over and over again, it's an abuse of our time. It's an abuse of these forums where you come and air your dirty laundry, you're firing at each other. And we hate to be marriage counselors for something that we don't even understand how it started in the first place. This democracy of ours has been hijacked. And my question to this SADC organ is, what are you going to do about it? Clearly, South Africa is in a political crisis. When 26 parties that participated in the elections came together in a national platform, dare I say international platform, led by MK Party, who's uniting all of these forces right now, saying we have been rigged. These elections were not free and fair. We've got proof that we can show you, approaching the courts, and the courts are slamming it down. We have a crisis. We have a deficit of democracy. And dare we come here and paint as if being a particular party or particular government of national unity makes us holier than thou, than any African country. We are not different from Zimbabwe. We are not. We are not different from what is happening in DRC. What makes us different? The only thing is that we've got a captured media and a captured judiciary. Now, the SADC said in their presentation, they have an early warning system. And I have a serious concern and questions around this early warning system. If indeed we have an early warning system, by now this organ should be advising South Africa and SADC on the political crisis that is looming. The people from whom the votes were stolen must not be pushed to go and protest over and over again, must not be pushed to go and vent out their anger and frustrations in manners that are not becoming. We need this body to intervene and resolve the issue of the stolen votes. Because this democracy as it stands is hijacked. It is not a democracy. And your early warning system as SADC should be telling us about the root causes, your preventative measure, the risks that you have picked up. You say in your presentation, most of the the issues that create conflict and instability in the SADC region, they come from domestic sources. However, you place a limitation as well to say you cannot interfere in domestic measures, which we understand. We know that there's a sovereignty, every state, every nation enjoys its own sovereignty and we want to promote that. But how are you balancing that sovereignty coupled with what you pick up in your early warning as intelligence and signs of potential conflict within a nation? And how do you then intervene to prevent such conflict? My colleagues who spoke before mentioned different conflicts that we can name again. We've got conflicts that are coming from conflicts in how we manage our mineral resources. Our mineral resources have been hijacked. We've got conflict in terms of how we are managing our migration policies, we are managing our borders. And those are some of the root causes that have been destabilizing not just South Africa, not just the SADC region, but the whole of Africa. But most importantly, we've got this political conflict. We've got an illegitimate government in South Africa. How is the SADC going to intervene and recommend on what needs to be done to resolve this conflict? Now, one of the concerning matters for us as MK is that since 2011, the SADC body has been relying a lot on South Africa. South Africa, when they took over the chairpersonship, they didn't rely on the funding and the resources of SADC. They went internally and used our own resources, our own infrastructure to assist the region. But now you can see how that has crippled South Africa domestically. We saw it in how the DRC matter was handled, and we welcome the withdrawal of the troops. Now the question is, how is SADC going to carry its own weight, given the large responsibility that it carries for this region? The concern is that your funding and budgets, they come from donors. And these are international donors. And how independent is this body given the source of its funding? And how do these funders interact and relate with the functioning and the operations of this organ in truly maintaining peace and stability within the region? I also want to understand around the regional and harmonizing of some of the policies that the different SADC states have, so that there is truly understanding in terms of how we manage migration, how we address the porous borders that are affecting especially South Africa. One of my colleagues from MK and also from EFF, they spoke about the inflooding of drugs through our borders. And these are not just drugs that are coming in. These are serious cartels that are meant to destabilize our peace, meant to destabilize the nation, and to influence the ideological direction of the nation. These are not accidental things that are happening. Military camps that cannot be accounted for. What is SADC doing about those things? We also have this flooding of spaza shops in our most fragile communities owned by foreigners. We know that these are networks of surveillance. These are being established as networks to destabilize the country. These are geopolitical agents, most of them. And thousands of spaza shops everywhere in critical, vulnerable communities in our nation. As part of your early warning signs, and your intelligence as SADC, how are we dealing with these hubs that keep mushrooming on a daily basis? Chairperson, South Africa is in a war. It's a silent war that is happening, and we're at the front line of this war. This geopolitical war is an undercurrent that is undermining our sovereignty. My colleague spoke about the migration of the 49. And I want to ask SADC, what is their assessment of this migration? What is the SADC community now and this organ saying around this? Because this is not just a mere economic migration. It's not a humanitarian refugee who's fleeing something in the country. There's no genocide in South Africa. Yet this organ of SADC is quiet. If there was genocide in South Africa, this organ should have been the first respondent. When there's an accusation like that in a member state, this organ should equally have been the first to raise its hand and defend South Africa in terms of its role in SADC and what you know is happening in the country. But I worry about the funders of SADC. I worry if indeed you are funded by international bodies, and how influential are they to your voice and to your work. We're experiencing a coordinated erosion of our sovereignty as South Africa using misinformation. And these people that are leaving, Chairperson, it must be noted that this is part of the infiltration strategy and intelligence gathering for South Africa. We know, like all the other countries in Africa, that we've got compromised mineral resource management strategies. People that are masquerading as investors are really the new silent colonizers. They've captured our logistics. We have underfunded, poorly surveilled, corrupt borders. Yet, Chairperson, our minerals can be transported out speedily and securely. There's no issues in getting minerals out. But we have issues in managing drugs coming in. Chairperson, we have parties within this government of national unity which have really weaponized the domestic policies of South Africa. They have tarnished the image of South Africa globally. What we have been doing as a nation for the past 30 years, they are seeking to redress in this tenure of the government of national unity. There's a violent effort that is happening right now to reverse the BEE policies, to reverse the land policies, to reverse, to implement dual citizenship, to change our immigration laws. But SADC has early warning, and I keep repeating that, because these are things that this organ should have been able to pick up and should have been able to advise. Because if SADC is not aware, this is a potential political conflict brewing. If this continues and the people of South Africa cannot get their land back, they cannot get their minerals back, they cannot control their own destiny, if the people of South Africa continue to be marginalized, continue to be undermined, as you have heard here, by people who don't even see themselves as part of South Africa or Africans in general, who are ready now with dual citizenship to jump ship whenever a challenge would occur in the country. We don't have that luxury. We don't have an invitation from the United States to jump ship and go to Idoa or wherever it is that they are. We are here to stay. And if we have to fight for our birthright, our land, our traditional leaders, it will get to that stage because of the attitudes of this government of national unity. They are constantly pissing on the blood of our forefathers. The condescending attitude of trying to tell us how SADC should be running in this platform. We have no issues with suggestions, with recommendations that are brought properly, and people can engage with them with agreement. But there are no gods who own wisdom and intelligence. And we cannot be told by somebody from outside how African Pan-Africanism, African solutions should look like. We reject them. We reject them with the contempt that it deserves. If we are going to have our own African solutions, it will not be from somebody from the Democratic Alliance standing in this committee telling us how to run SADC. We will go down to our traditional leaders, to our people. We'll go down to the communities where this thing hits the ground, where our people are affected by all of this unemployment, mineral rights that are being stolen every day. Our people are poor, they're languishing in poverty. Our children have no jobs, they have no schools, they don't even have an option to jump ship and go overseas. We will go down to those people and ask them, how do they want SADC to run its affairs? How do they want us, whom they have elected, to be in this position, to represent them in SADC? It will not be a top-down approach. And this is why we are telling you, SADC, that there is no democracy. It has failed. This is not a government of the people by the people. This is a government of the elite, the know-it-all, the white supremacy, the white monopoly capital that is coming to tell you today how to do your affairs, to run your affairs. If your early warning signal did not tell you what you are coming to receive today, I hope you have heard by yourselves that there's a conflict brewing in South Africa. There's a lapse of democracy, lapse of governance in South Africa. I don't know how far your mandate reaches. You said that there are about, I think it's 4 to 6 best governed nation in this SADC region. And I'm wondering, when you say that top 6 or top 4, is South Africa part of that? How do you rate when you say a best governed country? Is it because they have managed to have an election and people were silenced because the media is captured, the judiciary is captured, and people have to comply? Or is it because there are jobs created? People are happy, they are sharing in the prosperity and the wealth of the country. Every man, every woman has land and they can cultivate and they can take their children to school safely, securely. What is it that you define as best governed countries beyond holding an election that is deemed to have followed a democratic process, in your view? Because South Africa clearly violated every democratic process in these 2024 elections. Otherwise, we would not be sitting with a government of national unity and trying to make sense of what is it that they want to do together, because they just seem to be just in crisis mode all the time. We're sitting without a budget as a nation because of this so-called government of national unity. It's a crisis. And this crisis will destabilize the whole of SADC if not managed. It has that potential. Chairperson, my next question, how is SADC dealing with this new breed of ideological cartels and geopolitical agents that are leaving the country, that are also entering through things like spaza shops, etc., that I have mentioned? How are we dealing with these foreign footprints in our fragile communities? Because they are no longer only in metros, they are everywhere. Our country is under siege, seriously under siege. Those who have sworn to protect this country, those who have sworn to protect the SADC region, are the ones who are selling it. How else do you explain the government of national unity? Where is the national unity? What is it that they want to accomplish? In all of this, the sad thing is that the voice of SADC is missing. The voice of this organ is missing. We've seen when President Trump attacks Ukraine, we've seen countries like UK, Germany, and others rallying behind rallying behind Ukraine, going show solidarity. We haven't seen any of the SADC countries coming to rally behind South Africa in the face of this war with President Trump, with our own government, the so-called government of national unity. Chair, I think some of the issues that I have put in here, my colleague from MK has covered them extensively, so I'm not going to labor on them. And I want to reiterate that there are no reforms that are going to be discussed here unless these reforms have been brought to us from the ground, from where the people who love this nation, who fought for this nation, whose sons and daughters and grandmothers, grandfathers, mothers and fathers died for this nation, are given an opportunity to have their say in how SADC should run. Do not be under pressure. Do not be bullied. Do not be intimidated. No one is going to be patronizing anybody here. You do your job. If there are reforms that needs to be done, we will take them to the ground and we'll bring the recommendations here. It's not going to come from top down. There's no onus of intelligence and wisdom, especially if they are stealing votes to be in power and hanging on to everything just to be in power, even though the relationship is broken down and not working, and the country is left without a budget. Our children are not at school. Collapsing municipalities. We have no water as we sit here. There's no electricity. Yet this, what I will quote is those charged to govern. Those who are charged to govern by who? Who has charged my colleague to be governing when you did not win elections? Governing means first and foremost, the domestic policies must be upheld. Domestically, the country must be working. It must be productive. The children of the country must be productive before you run to please foreign agents and foreign relations. Our concern is not to be politically correct with foreigners, is to be politically, economically correct and morally correct with our people who have voted us to represent them in this parliament. I thank you, Chairperson.